When 13-year-old Jayme Closs disappeared after a night of terror in October 2018, it shook the small Wisconsin town to its core. Her mother had phoned 911 in panic, but there was only an eerie silence after the call. Soon after, both of Jayme's parents were found brutally killed in their home, but Jayme was nowhere to be found. Detectives were working against the clock to solve the case because the situation of her abduction showed a well-planned kidnapping. The country was extremely curious about what happened to Jayme for 88 days, and each new piece of information provided more questions than answers. Why would anyone do such an awful thing to a quiet family in a peaceful town? And adding to that, how did a girl escape from her kidnapper? Let us talk about the shocking truths of the Jayme Closs case. Gail King on a news segment said, "It left a hole in our heart, and we just wanted to find her, and I just had hoped that she was alive out there somewhere, and we'd get her home." Welcome. This is Crime Uncovered, where every case has a story, and the truth is often stranger and darker than fiction. If you haven't subscribed yet, kindly do so to stay updated on the latest crimes we uncover. Jayme Lynn Closs was born on July 13, 2005, in Barron, Wisconsin. She was the daughter of Denise Closs and James Closs. The trio lived in a modest home in this 3,400-resident small town, where everyone knew everyone. Jayme was a sweet, happy-go-lucky kid who enjoyed dancing, spending time with her friends, and attending school activities. James, 56, and Denise, 46, both worked at the Jennie-O Turkey Store, a decent local job. They were kind, hard-working parents who loved their only child. People in the community liked the Closs family, and they had a quiet life that revolved around work, home, and their daughter's activities. It was a crime that horrified the country. A father and mother murdered in their rural house, their daughter Jayme Closs kidnapped. James and Denise Closs's lives were ended on October 15th. On the day of the terror, Jayme was an 8th grader at Riverview Middle School. She was a fun, outgoing kid who made everyone around her feel better. The family dog, Molly, completed the home, and Jayme got along with her. The Closs family did not have any known enemies and no significant conflicts with other community members, which made what happened all the more baffling. It was a horrendous and shocking crime that changed the lives of everyone who knew them. Following the discovery by law enforcement that an intruder had broken into the Closs family's barren home and slain her parents with a gunshot, police and volunteers searched for the 13-year-old girl for months, but nothing panned out. Until Thursday. This is Jayme Closs. The Closs family was leading a peaceful life until the night of October 15, 2018, when a deed of terrible violence shattered their lives. Jake Patterson, a 21-year-old with a wicked plan, arrived at their door with a shotgun. Jake Thomas Patterson was born in Barron and raised in Gordon, Wisconsin, about 70 miles distant. He was a solitary person who was unable to keep a job following a short tour in the Marine Corps. He lived in a cabin with his father following the divorce of his parents. He did not have any previous encounters with the law prior to this case. He had weeks of planning under his belt. Patterson had been to the Closs home 3 times before attempting to kidnap 13-year-old Jayme, but had backed out each time because he feared being seen. Along with our federal and state partners, the search is expanding as police reveal her parents were homicide victims, James and Denise Closs, killed in their rural Wisconsin house. We believe Jayme was at home at the time of the homicides, and we believe she is still in danger. Patterson was determined. On his 3rd attempt, he drove his car to the end of the driveway at a little before 12:53 a.m. so that no one would see it. He took off his ski mask and black jacket and walked toward the house with his shotgun. The barking of the family dog woke up James Closs in the house. James was concerned and wondered what was happening, so he went to the door. He was able to see Patterson in the dark through the glass. Authorities still are looking for any link between Jayme and Jake Patterson. They have not said what motivated the kidnapping. Jayme was held in a remote area of cabin country where few full-time residents live. James thought the man might be a police officer and flashed a light on him, asking him to show his badge. Patterson did not respond with his name. Instead, he shouted, "Open the door." When James hesitated, wary of harm, Patterson quickly raised his shotgun and fired one deafening round through the glass. The bullet struck James and instantly killed him. Patterson forced his way into the house and committed even more heinous crimes. As the night went from quiet to chaos, the Closs family residence was the site of a heinous crime that would haunt the community for eternity. The search became the longest active Amber Alert in Wisconsin history. With 32,000 tips and 700 pieces of evidence, it was the biggest case the Wisconsin Crime Lab had ever seen. Now, though, Fitzgerald wants to redirect. Denise Closs and her daughter Jayme were jolted awake by the sound of breaking glass and the loud blast of a shotgun fire in their home. Well aware of the danger they were facing, they ran into the bathroom and shut the door. Despite all the racket, Denise hugged Jayme and tried to comfort her. Soon enough, Jake Patterson forcibly entered the house. Patterson crept through the rooms, determined to murder any witness. When he came to the locked bathroom door, he did not hesitate. He began pounding on it loudly, every strike louder and more terrifying. Denise, frantic, called 911. The line went dead after a few seconds. The dispatcher heard screaming and turmoil in the background, but could not make out what was happening. Patterson finally forced the door open. Cowering with fear, Denise and Jayme stood before him. Armed and in control, Patterson ordered Denise to duct tape Jayme's wrists and legs. Shaking and begging, Denise complied. Jayme's eyes were wide with fear, as were her mother's. As Denise was having difficulty completing the gruesome task, Patterson abruptly reached for his shotgun and discharged a deadly shot, murdering her in front of her daughter. Jayme was helpless to do anything but watch in horror as the worst possible violence unfolded before her eyes while her world crumbled around her. Patterson was planning Jayme's kidnapping even while at work, the complaint says. He bought a face mask at Walmart on his last day of work, the same mask he allegedly wore during the October crime. Patterson was booked into the Polk County Jail on Tuesday. Patterson removed Jayme from the house after both her parents had been killed. She could not scream or fight back because she was gagged and bound. Patterson had to carry her out. The blood at the crime scene made the ground slippery. Police were at the Closs house 4 minutes after the 911 call. But Jayme and Patterson were already on their way. Patterson had pulled over to the side of the road to let the police cars, with lights and sirens, pass by. They had no clue that the kidnapper and his victim were right there. From the Barron County Sheriff, "I don't know how she escaped. At this time, we think the suspect was out searching for her when law enforcement encountered him. He was in his car, driving around." James and Denise Closs's bodies were discovered at the scene. The 911 call and other evidence indicated a violent kidnapping and burglary. The search for Jayme began immediately. The search continues here at the Barron County Justice Center. They've received more than 1,000 tips since Monday, hundreds of interviews, and they've carried out many searches. But their latest update said there were no new details. Patterson took Jayme to a remote cabin in Gordon, Wisconsin, a 70-mile trek from her home. It was the perfect hideout, remote and surrounded by dense forest. At the cabin, Patterson made Jayme dress in his sister's clothes to further manipulate her. He controlled every aspect of Jayme's life during her captivity. She was hidden under a bed in his room, surrounded by storage bins and heavy objects used as barriers. Jayme had to stay there for hours, sometimes up to 12 hours, without food, water, or access to a bathroom. Patterson played loud music whenever he left the house to mask any noise she might make. Jake Patterson lived in the town of Gordon. Patterson's house was a place where cars were parked along the driveway, trash was overflowing, and a sign above the door that read Patterson's retreat. When company came over, like his father, Patterson would hide Jayme under the bed and warn her that if she tried to escape, he would severely punish her. He employed fear to control her. He even hit her with a curtain rod once when she inadvertently moved one of the storage bins, blocking her way to freedom. Despite the physical and mental abuse, Jayme never gave up hope. She waited patiently for the right moment to escape, waiting for her chance when Patterson let his guard down. Jayme had been held captive for 88 long and horrific days. All of that changed on January 10, 2019. That Thursday afternoon, Patterson told Jayme that he would be away for several hours. He did not tie her up as tightly as usual. For Jayme, this was the chance she had been hoping for. The second Patterson had left, Jayme pushed the bins aside and crawled out of her hiding place. She put on a pair of big shoes and ran outside into the freezing Wisconsin winter. Dressed in insufficient clothing for the winter, but frightened and determined, she ran along the snow-covered road to find help. By what seemed like a miracle, Jayme encountered Jean Nutter, a woman out walking her dog. Jean said, "This young lady comes up to me and says she's lost. She doesn't know where she is, and I'm not going to harm her," Jean recalled. Then she said, "I'm Jayme." Stunned, Jean realized this was the missing girl whose face had been all over the news. Keeping calm, she led Jayme to the nearest house and called 911. When deputies arrived minutes later, Jayme was rushed to safety, and police were soon able to quickly reconstruct what had happened during her time in captivity. She was able to give a description of Jake Patterson, his car, and even the cabin. Based on her detailed description, police had Patterson under arrest within hours. He was driving around looking for her when they found him, just blocks from the region where she escaped. When Patterson was apprehended, he coolly said, "I know what this is about." Investigators quickly understood that Patterson had no previous link to the Closs family. He did not even know their names until he saw a school bus drop off Jayme one morning while driving to work. At that moment, he decided that Jayme would be the girl that he would kidnap. He did not know her. He had not even spoken to her. Still, he planned the kidnapping meticulously, shaving his head and facial hair so as not to leave any evidence, and removing the license plates from his car. He chose a time when he thought the family would be asleep and avoided detection as he broke into and out of the house. Authorities said the case was exceptional in that Patterson had no record, no motive beyond a sick fixation, and no connection to the family. It was a crime of pure evil. When Jayme returned home, her story enthralled the nation. People who had followed her case for months were relieved and shocked at her strength. Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald dubbed Jayme the hero. In his assessment, "She's the one who cracked the case for us. She's the one who got us the suspect's name. She's the one who gave us the information that we acted on in order to find him." The community greeted Jayme home with vigils, ribbons, and signs. Her courage and strength inspired everyone everywhere. Jake Patterson was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide for the murders of James and Denise Closs and 1 count of kidnapping. He later pleaded guilty to all counts, sparing Jayme the trauma of testifying at trial. At his sentencing hearing, the court was presented with victim impact statements and stunning details about the premeditated nature of the crime. Patterson showed little emotion as he listened to how his actions had devastated the Closs family and the community as a whole. The judge sentenced him to life in prison with no possibility of parole. In a statement penned by Jayme, she wrote, "He thought he could own me, but he was wrong. I was brave, and he was not. He thought he could make me like him, but he was wrong. He can't take away my freedom. I will always have that." Her words served as a powerful reminder that even in the most unimaginable darkness, hope and courage can prevail. The Closs family tragedy is a stark reminder of how lives can turn on a dime. It also reminds us of the value of vigilance, community support, and the strength of victims who live through trauma. Jayme Closs was the guest of honor at several events, and even had a reward offered for information regarding her location. In a move that warmed many hearts, Jayme asked that money be donated to those who gave towards her discovery. Jean Nutter and Kristen Kacinskas, the 2 women who came to Jayme's aid after her escape, were hailed as heroes. But they humbly deflected the praise, saying that Jayme was the hero for having made the brave moves to save herself. As for Patterson, he was transferred to a maximum security prison. In post-conviction interviews, he expressed remorse, but also discussed what he had done with detached, chilling calm. He admitted that he had known what he was doing was wrong, but could not bring himself to stop. The event prompted child abduction prevention, home security, and the psychology of such predator behavior discussions. Several parents in Barron installed security systems, discussed safety with their children, and attended town meetings to discuss how to make their neighborhood safer. Jayme, for her part, focused on healing and rebuilding her life. She was put under the care of her aunt and returned to school under the support of counselors and friends. She began to speak out slowly, not through media interviews, but through living her life to the best of her abilities and not allowing what happened to her to define her. In 2020, Jayme received the Hometown Hero Award from the Wisconsin Assembly. Lawmakers praised her courage, calling her an inspiration to all of us. Her ordeal also prompted books, documentaries, and educational programs aimed at raising child safety and survival awareness. Even years later, the kidnapping case of Jayme Closs is among the most gripping and emotional kidnapping cases in recent memory. It's a story of tragedy and horror, but also of unimaginable bravery. Jayme's escape was not merely a moment of survival. It was a moment of triumph. A young girl, broken but not defeated, found the strength to fight her way to freedom. And in so doing, she showed that even in the darkest hour, hope can persevere. Thank you for watching. Every victim deserves their story told. If you found this story shocking and heartbreaking, subscribe to Crime Uncovered and help keep their memory alive. What do you think about Jayme Closs's murder? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, keep questioning everything.